And we will get started in just a second here as soon as it comes up. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Roger Paul. And tonight we will be studying paper 31. We're going to wrap this up tonight, paper 31. And that starts on, let me get back here, page 352 in the original book. We're in 31-9-11. And that's where we're going to start tonight. We're going to go all the way to the end tonight and wrap up the first whole section of the book, believe it or not. It's been a long trip, hasn't it? The first section. All right, let's say a little prayer and we'll get started. Father, thank you for bringing this together and bringing this wonderful revelation to us that we might study it, and learn about you, learn about all the celestial beings that's helping us out as we go along on our pathway back to you. We thank you for the ability to be able to do this. We thank you for those who listen at home and those who listen online. We thank you for those who come and join us every week. Pray that you open our hearts and minds that we might remember a little bit of it and share it with others. We say this in the name of your son, Michael, Jesus of Nazareth. Amen.
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 Okay. So you want to take the first paragraph, David?
Base levels. In their functional organization, the three supervising architects of Havona act as associate assistants to the solitary paradise architect. The seven architects of the super universes act as coordinates of the three supervisors of Havona. The 70 planners of the universes of the primary outer space level are at present serving as associate assistants to the seven architects of the seven super universes.
All right, so you'll notice in this first couple paragraphs that each of the architects are associates or helpers to the ones before them. Okay, so the architects of Havona help the paradise architects, and the architects of the seven super universes help the Havona architects, and the architects of the first or primary outer space level help the seven super universes. So they all help each other. Now we're going to find out in the next paragraph, they also have a whole vast order of beings that help them out too. So there's quite a few of these guys helping each other out all the time. So let's go ahead and take the second paragraph. Gary, would you take the second paragraph for us?
Yeah, the architects of the master universe have at their disposal numerous groups of assistants and helpers, including two vast orders of force organizers, the primary eventuated and the associated transcendental. These master force organizers are not to be confused with the power directors, so get mad, who are germane to the grand universe.
Okay, so what they're talking about here is they got a vast order of beings that help them, and the two orders of the force organizers, and these are the force organizers that start everything from with the unqualified absolute from nothingness and turn it into force to use usable matter, and eventually the force organizers then, after something's totally organized, they pass it on to the power directors, okay, or the creator sons and the power directors. So that's why they say here, you don't want to confuse the force organizers with the power directors, because it's the forced organizers that basically are manipulating matter and primordial forces and that sort of thing, where the power directors are the beings that keep everything going, all the circuits and everything, and make everything physical go, literally, all the way down to the atomic level. Okay.
Basically, excuse me.
No, go ahead, Gary.
Oh, basically, if you're comparing these, the master force organizers compared to electric company, master force organizers are the builders, the ones that puts everything in place. The power directors are the ones that maintain the power.
That's right, manipulate it, right? That's right. That's a good example, really good example. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Rodney, would you take the next one, please?
Yes. all beings produced by the union of the children of time and eternity, such as the trinitized offspring of the finaliters and the paradise citizens, become wards of the master architects. But of all other creatures or entities revealed as functioning in the present organized universe, only solitary messengers and inspired Trinity spirits maintain any organic association with the transcendentalers and the architects of the master universe.
So anytime any being is trinitized, whether it being from a paradise citizen, from finaliters, from mortals, any trinitized being automatically becomes the wards of the master architects for some future use. The reason they think this is the case is because these beings will be of a transcendental nature, okay, when they're trinitized. So they will be part of that group that will be used in the outer space level. And that's with the exception of the solitary messengers and the inspired Trinity spirits who have an organic association with the transcendentalers and the architects of the master universe from the start, because those are created directly from the infinite spirit. So they're like support personnel from the infinite spirit himself. All right. Okay.
Describe transcendental.
Transcendental is the type of being that exists between mortal and spiritual. Okay, so they're the in-between between mortal and spiritual, not including Urantia. Okay, so transcendental, I think the best way to think of transcendental is a being that transcends a physical state in which we would call a normal being. Okay, so if you think of transcendental, I kind of think of a being that probably doesn't have a definite physical body. It's more than it's more of a presence. Make sense? I just confused.
Kind of like a Casper the Ghost, but it's invisible.
That's right. Kind of like that. That's the only way I can think about it, because these are absonite beings. They're not absolute beings. They're not like a permanent being that goes on forever. Transcendental, one of the reasons they call them transcendental, number one, they're eventuated. They come into existence as needed, and they go out of existence when they're no longer needed. Makes sense? So that's part of the transcendental nature, is that they appear, they do their work, and then they're gone again. Who knows where they go back to? Right?
So they're not an ascending or descending being.
Not an ascending or ascending or descending order of being, right?
So they're, to get back to this earthly concept, they're basically day workers.
Yeah, in essence. Yeah, they come, they do their job, and then they're gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's interesting though, but if you think of a trinitized being, are considered transcendental type beings too, but really they're different than regular transcendental beings, because the trinitized beings comes into existence by the union of two paradise citizens, a union of a finaliter and a paradise citizen, or a finaliter and a Havona native. So those are more permanent beings, right? That's the way I think of it anyway. Now, when I say not permanent, I'm talking about these beings may be used for billions and billions of years. You know, this is not like they're here today and gone tomorrow, right? All right. Okay. Millie just stepped out. Jane, would you take the next one, please?
Okay. The master architects contribute technical approval of the assignment of the creator's sons to their space sites for the organization of the local universes. There is a very close association between the master architects and the paradise creator sons, And while this relationship is unrevealed, you have been informed of the association of the architects and the grand universe supreme creators in the relationship of the first experiential trinity. These two groups, together with the evolving and experiential supreme being, constitute the trinity ultimate of transcendental values and master universe meanings.
Okay, so the master architects work in very close association with the creator sons, even before they choose their space site where they're going to create their local universe. Okay, so the master architects has to prepare the primordial values of that site and get it ready for the manipulation of the matter and that sort of thing, so that the local universe creative mother spirit and the creator son could start creating in that area. Okay, so they have a very close association between the creator sons and the local universe mother spirit. And they don't tell us a lot about it, but apparently the architects have to approve the assignment of the creator son to a location. Okay, so when they start to go out to the outer space levels, all these creator sons that we don't know if there's going to be more created or they're going to start with the 300,000 that's not being used right now. Are they going to start out there? We don't really know. They don't tell us. Okay, but we know that there'll have to be creator sons out there creating universes when this first outer space level gets started, right?
So, hey, Roger,
Yeah.
just based on the creator sons having a relationship with the architects, the master architects, meaning that because they have a relationship, the architects are putting in action and creating for the creator sons
Well, they're
based on that relationship.
Yeah, they're manipulating the forces, preparing for the creator son.
I think
Yeah.
what I'm really trying to ask and say is that in paper 105, or I think it's 105 or 104, where they talk about triodities and triunities, and you
Right.
have these impersonal, pretty big guys in that relationship. Well, what did they get out of that? That's what I'm trying to ask.
Well, that's
But-
part of their job. That's what they're created for.
Mhm.
So, you can't say, what did they get out of it? That's the reason they were created. So, or eventuated, if you want to say it that way. But yeah, each relationship gets the benefit of being in that relationship. And that
Right.
in itself is
Mhm.
worth doing.
I
Right.
mean, it's like there's a tremendous benefit, of knowing you, for instance, would be an example.
Right.
Since
Right. Now,
you have such a good comprehension of this book.
yeah, well, thank you. The other thing it mentions here I want to mention is the experiential supreme being, right? The two groups they're talking about here, the Paradise Creator Sons and the Master Architects, are helping in the evolution in the experiential experience of the Supreme Being. And we know when the Supreme Being comes into full fruition, that's when all 7 super universes will be settled in light and life. So that constitute what they call the Trinity ultimate, and that's the next step as we go out to the outer space level, and that will be transcendental values and master universe meanings for that area of space, which is, we could spend hours on that just by itself. So I'm just going to move on from that one. All right, number 10, the ultimate adventure, the last section and the last part of this paper. Okay, let's see. Let's step back one. Millie, would you take this first bit in the list for
Yes.
me, please?
Yes. 10, the ultimate adventure. Am I on?
Yes, you're good.
The senior master architect has the oversight of the 7 core of the finality, and they are: 1, the core of the mortal finalators; 2, the core of paradise finalators; 3, the core of trinitized finalators; 4, the core of conjoint trinitized finalators; 5, the core of Havona finalators. 6 is the core of transcendental finalators. And 7, the core of unrevealed sons of destiny.
Okay, so there's,
Unrevealed destiny.
yeah, there's 7 cores, and the last one is not even revealed to us. They don't even give it a name, right? So that's someplace way in the future, apparently, or something that has nothing to do with our ascension plan. One of the two. All right. It's interesting that the senior architects has oversight or in charge of all these groups. And it's also interesting that Grand Fonda is the chief of the mortal core. And let's go on to that one. Lech, would you take the next one, please?
I do think
I'm sorry.
that you said that they're not going to tell us because it's probably not going to help us on our journey, but
Ascension plan, yeah.
they just told us it was there for a reason. They didn't tell us more about it, but they told us it
No.
was there. So that's more of our information.
Right.
And eventually that will be part of that will be one of our tools on our journey.
Yeah, in the future, right? It's interesting too, they call it the unrevealed sons of destiny. So we know it's got to be something to do with sometime way in the future, right? Because it's the destiny, right? Yeah. So we'll find out later. All right. Lech, would you take the next one, please?
Okay. Each of these destiny cores has a presiding head, and the 7 constitute the Supreme Council of Destiny on Paradise. And during the present universe age, Grand Fonda is the chief of this supreme body of universe assignment for the children of ultimate destiny.
Now, can you imagine being Grand Fonda, the very first mortal to go through this process, go all the way and become the first finality? I mean, wow.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that,
Roger, what is a present universe age? How long is a universe age?
The present universe age they're talking about is the development of the 7 super universes. That's the present universe age.
I
So,
see.
and until all 7 super universes reach light and light, it will stay into the present universe age, right? Now,
Okay.
when we step into the outer space levels, then a whole new age starts, right? All bets are off, everything's different, right? So they're just trying to get us up to snuff and what's currently going on, which is probably enough. All right. Pam, would you take that next paragraph?
The gathering together of these 7 finaliter core signifies reality mobilization of potentials, personalities, minds, spirits, absinites, and experiential actualities that probably transcend even the future master universe functions of the Supreme Being. These 7 finaliter core probably signify the present activity of the ultimate Trinity engaged in mustering the forces of the finite and the absonite in preparation of inconceivable developments in the universes of outer space. Nothing like this mobilization has taken place since the near times of eternity, when the Paradise Trinity similarly mobilized and then existing personalities of Paradise and Havona and commissioned them as administrators and rulers of the projected 7 super universes of time and space. The 7 finaliter core represent the divinity response of the grand universe to the future needs of the undeveloped potentials of the outer universes of future eternal activities.
So the only thing they can compare this to is when the 7 super universes first started out, right? And they had to get the Paradise and Havona natives involved in the 7 super universes and administration of the 7 super universes till enough of the creator sons got there and enough of the local universe mother spirits. And not only that, but so many of the creator sons, all of them had to go through 7 bestowals, every single one of them. So if you think about it, the age that's already happened, we're living in an age of time in which the past is so far back, it's hard for us to even conceive of it. So we're talking billions and billions of years, right? But even more, the future is 2 billion times more of that amount of time into the projected future, right? So if you think about it, we're kind of at the rough edge of the beginning of the 7 super universes. Think about it, right? Because so many of the creator sons have to finish their bestowals, so many planets have to reach light and life, and they don't even give us an estimate of how many, but you can think of it this way. Our local universe is only about, I think it's 38% done as far as planets go. So we got what, 60 some percent, almost 70% of our local universe that we don't even have the planets going yet. Makes sense? So think of it that way and you realize we're in a really young universe, right? So we got lots to do until we get all the way up there in our ascension plan. Right?
Roger, does the book say which super universe does have the most planets?
No, it doesn't. It does not even tell us, Pam, which one is the most finished. You would assume it would be number 1, right?
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily so, because probably all 7 of them started developing at the same time, right? Because that would be the only way that the gravity of paradise would balance out.
Yeah.
Makes sense? All right, so they probably all, they just numbered them to give us a concept of a whole. You see what I'm saying? To God, they're not number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7. To God, they're just 7 super universes out there, right? Run by the master architects. All right.
You know, they also
So,
tell us that the 7 super universes were named after the 7 master spirits, but they don't give us the
names of the 7
just
master
one.
spirits.
Yeah, you know, Orvanton or Vonton,
Yeah.
just one of
Yeah.
them.
Just one of them, right? That's
Yeah,
right.
thanks.
It'd be
Thanks,
nice
guys.
to know all of
Yeah.
them. Of
Orvanton's
course,
pretty
there's,
cool.
all right, I don't want to short anybody. You know, there's a group of channelers out there that swear that they got a message from somebody. They have all 7 of the names, you know? So if you want to believe that, that's your prerogative.
Hey,
Personally,
yeah.
but that's
You
neither
know, they tell us that this is good for at least 1,000 years,
yeah.
the Urantia book, and then the science
Yeah.
will have to be updated. But you
Right.
know, you kind of wonder, like, well, how are you going to recognize a genuine revelation? Do you have any
It's
ideals,
hard.
Roger? Yeah.
It's hard.
You have all these
You better
channelers.
I can say this, you better learn this book first before you start going and listen to some nonsense that I've heard over the
Yeah.
airways on the internet, that these people are trying to tell us something that most of it's gobbledygook nonsense. That's the way I feel about it. But that's after studying the book for 40 some years, you know, and I feel like I have a pretty good grasp of what the book says. And some of the stuff these channelers come out with just doesn't chive right with me. It just doesn't. I'm sorry. And I've had people come to our group and leave our group, and we've had problems with people over this. And Jane knows this from past experiences with someone else we had in the group.
What were the problems? Reincarnation, psychic
Well,
phenomenon?
no, trying to convince me that some of the channeling stuff is true. Some of it's impressive. I've seen charts and all this stuff of people that's drawn out what they think. They think there's going to be 7 outer space levels and all this. They've already got names for them all. They have names for all 7 of the 7 super universes. That was never revealed in the original revelation. And there's a reason that it was not revealed, I'm sure.
It's sad because according to the printing, the 67, that's when they made 48 changes to the pages, because they believed that they were receiving messages.
Yeah, I'm gonna
And
show you all a little trick about
Mhm.
just changes and stuff tonight at the end of this.
a lot of changes, and that
Thanks.
started in the second printing.
Yeah, Jane.
The other factor is this, that when we leave here, the English language will not be our language. So
It
for
won't be.
Orpington is for our sake. It's
Yes,
not
it's just a name
necessarily
for
for
us.
all eternity.
That's right. It's a name for, it's something so we can put a title
Yeah.
onto something, right?
So how
That's
how
it.
can we go to someone who knows them all in
Yeah,
English? What
yeah,
sense
yeah.
would that make?
Doesn't make any sense to me, Jane, but that's
No,
just me, you know.
And
I mean-
the Urantia book was not channeled.
exactly.
That's related to psychic
That's the whole
phenomenon.
problem. That's the whole problem. And there, that's a whole another discussion. Let's move on to the
Okay.
next one. Who's actually, Tim, I think you're up next.
Sure. We venture, is that where we're at?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
We venture the forecast of future and greater outer universes of inhabited worlds, new spheres peopled with new orders of exquisite and ununique beings. A material
Unique beings.
unique beings.
Yeah.
A material universe sublime in its ultimacy, a vast creation lacking in only one important detail, the presence of actual finite experience in the universal life of ascended experience.
Existence.
Existence. Where am I at?
Yeah.
Okay. Ascended existence. Thank you. Such a universe will come into being under a tremendous experiential handicap, the deprivation of participation in the evolution of the Almighty Supreme. These outer universes will all enjoy the matchless ministry and supernal over control of the Supreme Being. The very fact of his active presence precludes their participation in the actualization of the supreme deity.
Okay, this is kind of hard to understand, and I'm going to try to unravel it a little bit for y'all. Okay, what they're talking about here is this. When the supreme being comes in full fruition, when all 7 super universes are settled and light in life, the gathering in of all the experiences of all the beings that's involved in the 7 super universes will be part of the supreme. Okay, and when the supreme comes into full fruition, that experience gathering will what?
Be
End.
finished.
It'll
It'd
be
be
finished.
complete. Yeah.
It'll be complete. That's right. So that's what they're talking about, the experiential handicap when you step into the outer space levels. Okay, because this will not happen in the evolution of the Almighty Supreme. In other words, all the experience from the 7 super universes will make the Supreme Being in a reality, a deity in reality, who's in control of all of it. Okay, so you think about it this way. When the Supreme comes into full fruition, the Supreme can act as a vicegerent of the Trinity itself, not just God the Father, not just God the Son, and not just the infinite Spirit, but a vicegerent of all 3, okay? Because it will have the experience of everything, okay? So that means those who are coming out and up in the outer space levels do not have the possibility of pushing their experience into the Almighty Supreme. That's what they're talking about here. It's basically handicaps those that's coming in through the outer space levels. You follow me? There's no
Yes.
way they can gain that experience. All right.
Roger.
So, yeah, go ahead, Rodney.
No, please finish.
Okay, so it's since everything will be in they call it the supernal over control of the Supreme Being, even in the outer space levels, the fact of his presence makes participation in pushing everyone's experience into the Almighty Supreme impossible. You follow me? That's what they're talking about.
So it would be like going from finite experience to absolute experience. But my question is, how are we going to recognize the supreme? Because is he going to be in material form, or is it like a spiritual presence?
He will be a spiritual presence, probably in a recognizable spiritual form too. Just like when you go recognize God the Father, God the Son, God the Spirit, they don't have a physical body, they have a presence, right? And it will be the same with the Supreme Being.
Yeah, the three lights.
The three lights. There'll be three in one instead of just one of each. Makes sense? But you kind of understand how, because all experience has already been collected, then the next step, the Almighty Supreme, cannot do this same thing because all the experiences have already been collected. Make sense?
And then it goes
Florida.
into the absolute.
All right. All right. Millie looks like she's totally confused. What's your question, Millie? Hang on.
Couple of questions. Okay.
Millie, do you want to ask the question? You don't? Okay. All right. Just want to make sure. You look like you were confused there.
I'm confused, but I'm so confused, I don't even know what to ask. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Rodney, go ahead.
The Almighty Supreme, would that be a separate being?
That's yeah, you can call it a separate being along with the experience of the Supreme itself.
Okay, and another question. I thought that outer space levels, it was going to be the ultra supreme,
Ultimate.
ultra being,
The ultra be what you mean, the ultimate?
ultra being instead of supreme being. It was an
It will be the Supreme, ultimate Supreme. It will be, let me,
ultimate supreme.
yeah, let me bring up, I don't want to get too bogged down on this, but let me stop the screen share and I'll show you a little on this little chart what I'm talking about here. Okay. Let me stop the share and I'm going to share a new screen. Oops.
Uh-oh.
I went back. No, it went to there. Okay. But I don't see it on mine. Here, hang on. Y'all have a picture now?
Yes.
Not
Yeah.
ultra, but ultimate.
There you go. You got it. Say that again, Rodney.
Not ultra, but ultimate.
Ultimate.
The
That's
ultimate
right.
being,
Said that.
Yeah, and it's
Not
on
the
this chart.
but the
Ultimate
ultimate being.
Trinity. The
That's the-
ultimate. Yeah, read those three circles there for me because I don't see it on mine because I've got here.
Architects. Architects of the master universe. Evolve, is that what you're talking about? honey?
Yeah, uh-huh.
On this picture, the ultimate Trinity is exactly in the middle.
It is.
Yes, it is.
Yellow.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and the third one is evolved, supreme
Supreme
That's right.
being.
being, yeah,
Supreme being, yeah.
and I can't read that underneath it.
Let me see if I can see it on the line.
Evolved
Magnifying
spring.
glass.
No, I can't see it on the.
What are you
on
guys
the
reading? Yeah,
Facebook.
I can read it.
It's the infinite deity, experiential infinite deity.
There you
That's
go.
it in the circle below.
That's it. That's the
Yeah.
ultimate
Which
Supreme.
that's what the supreme being is, the experiential infinite deity. Is it?
There you go.
I
Yeah,
know.
Did I say it right before?
yeah. And that's why I wanted y'all to see this chart that I use over and over again. Okay, are you back yet? Okay, good.
So I have a question, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead, Jane.
So this paragraph that we just read now, that refers to when the 7 super universes are in light and life.
That's correct.
Which is 7 super universes.
Right.
So to me, what to bring it into our own little minds, it's
Yeah.
like saying we are in a perfect world. We
Right.
still have students, you know,
Yeah.
let's say everybody, which is historical. So the new ones, they are going to get their degrees for having without having had to go through the studies. But we are in a perfect world. You don't even need the history. You don't need the experience.
But you
But
always
fully
do.
graduated. You fully
You fully
integrated.
graduated, Jane, but you still need the history, because if you don't always know your history, you're bound to repeat the same mistakes over and over and over again.
But these guys don't have experiential and cannot get experiential.
They know, but they gain that experience from coming through the 7 super universes, through us and us teaching them. See, all the outer space levels, when they start migrating in towards paradise on their paradise journey, they will have to come through the 7 super universes. And when they do that, they'll gain their own personal experience, not the experience of the Supreme, but their own personal experience by interacting with the beings of the 7 super universes, right? Make sense?
So they still have to gain the experience, but we
They
just
do.
said that the experience is already complete within the
Yeah, for
supreme
the
beings.
Supreme, but not individual beings that are going to come up through the 7 super, or through the outer space levels. It's only for the Supreme.
Yeah.
Follow?
So it's like
In other
saying that,
words, the
Yeah, go ahead,
deity is
Roger.
complete, but the mortals that'll come up from there, from the outer space levels, still have to do the same type of thing we're doing now. They
And,
gain
and where would
experience
that
in their own.
experience go? If the supreme being is complete, then
It will be the experience of their record, right?
for their own.
For their own lives, right? So the guardian angels will record just like they do here. Everything will still work the same. The only difference is those beings won't be adding to the experience of the Supreme any longer, according to what they're trying to tell us. Could be different than that. Maybe it goes into the Almighty, but it doesn't say that, right?
so it's kind of like saying that God the Supreme is gaining experience from every finite mortal, and even super finite, which would be somewhat like a creator son. And then it extends out, and then it extends out further into, so the Supreme, God the Supreme would be the total experience of just the 7 super universes. And then it extends out to the Almighty Supreme, which is just in reference to an absonite individual, greater, much more experience. So now
plus all the creator sons that'll go out there, right?
Correct,
all their experience has to be gained yet too. But the fact is the 7 super universes will be settled in perfection and light and life. And it's just like us going to Havona and paradise. Havona and paradise are already perfect, right?
Oh yeah, that's good.
Right?
Yeah, that makes sense now. You just made it clear. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
So when we reach light and life, the 7 super universes will be what? Perfect. Makes sense? So those people in the outer space levels will have an experience of going through 3 perfect levels instead of just a couple like we do. Make sense?
The next paragraph may tell us more.
Okay.
It probably answers it.
Huh?
The next paragraph probably answers our question.
You read my mind, Rodney. It always does that.
All right, let's see. Diane, I think we're back up again. There.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Am I to assume, in effect, that the Supreme Being will have eventuated into a form of being that's just below the Trinity, the Supreme Trinity of God the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit?
That's exactly right, Fletch. That's exactly right. The Supreme Being will become the vicegerent of the Trinity itself. So whatever the Supreme says will be law all the time. And that's why there's so much speculation, like even with the Ancients of Days, what their job will be, because the Ancients of Days pretty much run the 7 super universes right now. You know, they make all life and death situations. They speculate that they will keep the Ancients of Days on for all these life and death decisions, but they will fall under the Supreme Being. when he comes into full fruition.
Question, Roger. They also say that Supreme gets his personality from the Trinity, but what does that mean? I don't, the personality traits from the Father, Son, and Spirit, is that what they're talking about?
From the Father, Son, and Spirit. You know, all personality comes from the Father.
The Father, right.
Right, but when the Supreme comes into full fruition, he will not only get his personality from the Father, but he'll get the adjunct personality from the Spirit, just like all the angels, and he'll also get the adjunct Son personality. So he'll gain personality from all three at the same time. Make sense?
It would be necessary because of
Right.
these 7 super universes are different.
That's right.
Yeah.
All different. That's right. And so he has to have all three of them at the same time. And that's why he becomes vicegerent of all three. Right. Okay, let's keep going.
During the present universe age, the evolving personalities of the grand universe suffer many difficulties due to the incomplete actualization of the sovereignty of God the Supreme. But we are all sharing the unique experience of his evolution. We evolve in him and he evolves in us. Sometimes in the eternal future, the evolution of supreme deity will become a completed fact of universe history, and the opportunity to participate in this wonderful experience will have passed from the stage of cosmic action.
So you see how we're fortunate because we are adding to the Supreme. The Supreme is adding to us, but this sort of adding to each other won't go on for indefinitely. It will only go to all 7 super universes.
But what is he adding to us?
His experience.
Okay.
All the inspirations we get.
Or the inspiration for
Yes, we
the
get,
from
yeah.
him.
Yeah, that was my next question. How do you recognize that? And Jane said
Well,
inspirations.
Yeah, there you go. That's as close as I could get.
Okay.
Anyway, all right.
Maybe through
Gary,
values. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe so. Gary, would you take the next one?
Okay, but those of us who have acquired this unique experience during the youth of the universe will treasure it throughout all future eternity. And many of us speculate that it may be the mission of the gradually accumulating reserves of the ascendant and perfected mortals of the core of the Finaliters in association with the other 6 similarly recruited cores to administer these outer universes in an effort to compensate their experiential deficits,
Deficiencies.
the efficiencies in not having participated in the time-space evolution of the Supreme Being.
So they're going to
Okay.
send out the Finaliters out into the outer space level to compensate for not having this, adding their experience to a deity.
Mhm.
Makes sense?
Yes.
Okay.
It's
So
the
that's like you
compensation.
were saying earlier, we will, the people that once light and life comes, the newcomers will be going through will be taught instead of experience.
Right, right. Okay, Rodney, would you take the next one, please?
Okay, a few more questions yet.
Yeah.
The deficiencies are inevitable on all levels of universe existence. During the present universe age, we of the higher levels of spiritual existences now come down to administer the evolutionary universes and minister to the ascending mortals, thus endeavoring to atone for their deficiencies in the realities of the higher spiritual experience.
So you see how this works?
Interesting.
The descending sons of God comes down to minister to us to atone for our deficiencies in spiritual development and experience. Okay, since we are lacking in spiritual experience, they come down and help us. That's what the sons of God does, right? So we will do the same thing as finaliters for those who are will be coming up in the outer space levels, right? Because
So
they'll have experiential deficiencies. Right?
So Michael did atone, but in a different way.
In a different way. That's right. He didn't atone for your sins. God forgives you for your sins. He atoned for your spiritual deficiencies, right?
And the problem with the atonement theory is the phrase, this is my own conclusion and reconciliation within myself, is when they specifically say God sent him for that purpose.
He didn't.
He didn't.
He did not.
So that's the phrase that's completely should be eliminated.
Yes, it should be. There's a lot of stuff like that that should have been eliminated when the original church first started. You know, this whole atonement doctrine.
Yeah, you can't have it both ways. God is love. He wouldn't send his son to be punished.
Right,
but
to die for
his
your
son
sins.
chose to take the life he did and follow
this is all left over, Jane, from the Jewish atonement doctrine. And Paul tried to instill it back in the church after
and
Jesus
we took
was
it
gone.
in,
We took it in, right?
And we never went back and corrected.
Sinker. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Three individuals.
Paul
That's
should
right.
have paddled.
No, Paul had a lot of good stuff, but some of it was just wrong. You know, I'm sorry, it just wasn't.
Well, I think Paul was trying to reconcile with his Jewish past.
That's right. He was. Okay, let's go on. The next one. Whoever takes that one, take that first paragraph too. All right, who's up next? Millie, I think you're up again.
Rodney didn't read his paragraph. He just asked
Oh, Rodney
questions.
didn't. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No, I just read.
He just read. Okay, he did.
Correct.
Go ahead, Millie.
But though we really know nothing about the plans of the architects of the master universe respecting these outer creations, nevertheless, of these things we are certain. You want me to read them?
Yeah, the first one anyway, Millie.
These things we are certain. Number one, there actually is a vast and new system of universe gradually organizing in the domains of outer space. New orders of physical creations, enormous and gigantic circles of swarming universe upon universe, universes upon universes, far out beyond the present bounds of the people and organized creations are actually visible through your telescopes. At present, these outer creations are wholly physical. They are apparently uninhabited and seem to be devoid of creature administration.
So that's the first thing they know for certain. There's universes developing. We can see them through our own telescopes, but there are no inhabited beings on those, or there is no administration from the seven super universes in it right now. All right.
Well, I think,
we're certain of that.
Tell me if I'm wrong. Our universe was created and in existence long before there were creatures on it.
You're right, Melly. They are. All the planets are that way for millions of years, right?
Yes.
Almost every planet existed for millions of years before it's ready for life implantation. Okay. All of them. That's the way it works. Okay. Number two. This is the second thing they're certain of. Jane, would you take number two?
Yeah. For ages upon ages, there continues the unexplained and wholly mysterious paradise mobilization of the perfected and ascendant beings of time and space in association with the 6 other finaliter corps.
So they know that more and more finaliters are coming. The Paradise citizens are coming. All the other finaliter groups are coming. So they're getting ready for something. They know that for sure. Okay, Letch, would you take number 3?
Concomitantly with these transactions, the supreme person of deity is powerizing as the almighty sovereign of the super creations.
So they know that the Supreme is actualizing as we speak right now. Okay, they know that for certain. That's a certainty. All right.
Roger,
Yeah.
I wonder why Lucifer didn't understand this.
Because he was a local universe
Creation.
Lenonondex son creation, right? He'd never been to paradise, knew he wouldn't have a chance to do that for a long period of time, and he was impatient. And patience kills, right? That's all there is to it.
We know very well.
Yeah,
Well, and a lack of duty.
and a lack of duty. Stick-to-itiveness. Do y'all think that I just get up every day, twice a week, every week of my world and just teach? You know, I'm committed to this because it's my job, man. That's what I'm supposed to be doing.
That's
I don't
great.
think about it. I don't worry about it. I don't. Every day I get out here and say, I don't want to teach anymore. I'm tired. You know, I'm sunburned. I got poison ivy. You can't do that. You get up, you do it, and you do it, and you do it because that's what you're supposed to do.
Oh, Roger, your strength strengthens me.
All right, let's get going. We're almost there. We're getting there. We're going to finish this paper tonight. Pam, would you take the next one?
As we view this triune development, embracing creatures, universes, and deity, can we be criticized for anticipating that something new and unrevealed is approaching culmination in the master universe? Is it not natural that we should associate this age-long mobilization and organization of physical universes on such a hitherto unknown scale and the personality emergence of the Supreme Being with this stupendous scheme of upstepping the mortals of time to divine perfection, and with their subsequent mobilization on paradise in the core of finality, a designation and destiny enshrouded in universe mystery? It is increasingly the belief of all Uversa that the assembling core of the finality are destined to some future service in the universes of outer space, where we already are able to identify the clustering of at least 70,000 aggregations of matter, each of which is greater than any one of the present super universes. Wow.
Oh,
That's a lot.
It's
right?
a lot.
Yeah.
And we
I'll tell you one
know,
thing.
now we know why Lucifer really got very angry. Because they didn't tell him the mystery.
No,
It says right there.
no, they don't. So,
It's a
do y'all
mystery.
realize the privilege we have in getting this book?
Mhm.
I agree.
It
Right.
is, yeah, Jane just hit it on the head. You know, they don't go
Mhm.
around teaching everybody everything,
Wow.
right?
Plus,
Just the
he thought it was
information.
a waste of time and futile
That's
for
right.
people to go, because he knew what would happen, but
Yeah.
he didn't know the mystery of it. Neither
That's
do
right.
we know the mystery of it, but
And
we
we
are
won't till we
people of
get there.
faith, right?
Yeah, that's
We
what
walk
faith's
by
about.
faith.
You
That's
know,
right.
if that's so funny, Jane, because it's like if we didn't have a good teacher like Roger, a certain amount of pride could be, you know, we're the chosen ones. We
I
received
know.
the fifth
I
biblical
know.
revelation, right?
Yeah,
But hey,
yeah,
Roger,
it
yeah.
would really be easy to do that, wouldn't it, Tim?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's easy. Especially when things like, if we didn't have someone like you that goes in breaking it up,
Sure.
and you know, it goes over our heads, but we have a big head anyway.
Yeah, and if we didn't have a big head, learning all this would give us a big head, wouldn't it? I mean, it'd make you.
Well,
make
getting
you
it,
think you got the big
yeah,
head.
not knowing it well.
And that's
Jane?
why I try to teach it in
Mm.
such a way to let y'all know that this is boot camp, really.
Yeah.
This is basic
Yeah.
stuff. You
I had
know,
a question,
for us
Roger.
to learn. Yeah,
The way they, can you scroll up just a little bit? Because it's kind of like, the way they use the
that?
word triune, sometimes it's in reference to the Trinity, or it's separately, so
Right.
it's separately like the Father, Son, and Spirit. But the way they're using this triune, it's creatures, universes, and deity, right?
Right, creatures,
Okay, good.
universes, and
Okay.
deity, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Uh, Yeah, and they're asking questions. See, the questions they ask, and these are celestial beings, right? This is just not average mortals. All right, let's get another paragraph here. Tim, would you take the next one?
Sure.
Did you just read the last one?
No,
Okay, would you
Did.
take the next one?
Sure.
Evolutionary.
evolutionary mortals are born on planets of space, pass through the Urantia worlds, ascend to spirit universes, traverse the Havana spheres, find God, attain paradise, and are mustered into the primary core of the finality, therein to await the next assignment of universe service. There are 6 other assembling finality core, but Grand Fanda, the first mortal ascender, presides as paradise chief of all orders of finaliters. And as we view this sublime spectacle, we all exclaim, what a glorious destiny for the animal origin children of time, the material sons of space.
Go ahead and read that last little thing too, Tim.
Sure. Jointly sponsored by a divine counselor, a one without name and number, authorized so to function by the ancients of days on Uversa.
Okay, so what they're telling us here in this last paragraph is this is your plan right here. This is our plan. We're born on a planet. We pass through the Urantia worlds. We ascend to the spirit worlds. And then we traverse the Havana spheres, find God, attain paradise. And then we're mustered in the core of finality. And what's our next step? To await the next assignment of universe service. There's your game plan right there, right? It all spells it out, right? And it tells us that there's 6 other groups of types of beings that are doing the same thing that we are, right? So we're not alone. All right, and this jointly sponsored by a divine counselor and one without name and number. And it was authorized by the ancients of days. Guess what a divine counselor and one without name and number is?
Roger,
Ascending
the other 6 groups that are doing this, are they part of this list that I read? Mortal finaliters, paradise finaliters, trinitas finaliters.
That's it. That's the other 6
Those are
groups.
the other 6 groups.
That's the other 6
We
groups.
are the mortal finaliters,
That's right.
but the rest of them are the other groups too. And
They
get
are, and
really, they're amazed to see it.
Yeah, they are. And these are higher level beings than we are, Millie, right? All of them. Every single one of them.
So, hey, Roger, a lot of the purpose too of life is through experience and decisions.
Okay, now y'all
Developing
don't
soul
hang up on
development.
me
Okay.
yet. I got 2 important things to do before we leave tonight. I know we're running out of time. Number 1, you see my little mouse there on the screen moving
Yeah.
around?
Yeah.
Everybody, you
Mhm.
see these little
Yeah.
tithe marks? Okay, I'm going to show you a little secret tonight that's going to just blow you away real quick.
That the
You see this
original.
little asterisk here?
Yes.
At the end of it? If you click on that asterisk, it will take you to every
First printing. Yeah.
single change that's been made since the beginning printing of the book.
Wow.
For real.
Mhm.
And anywhere you see one of those little asterisks all the way through these versions of the book, it will take you to this page. And it will take you to that particular one. All right, it says like right here, the first printing changed to from asterisks to tithes. You see that? And it tells you why they did it. Okay.
You
And-
lost me.
What are they doing?
Why did they do it?
Confusion.
But they changed it from a asterisk to a tithe for the computer.
Asterisk. What's that all about? What is an asterisk?
Asterisk is these little stars.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
These little squiggly marks are tides. All right. And they changed it. It says to avoid confusion from the links used in the standard HTML. That's why they changed it. Okay. Now, the reason I want to show you this is this, y'all. If you see these little asterisks all the way through the book and you click on one, it will tell you what was changed and why they changed it. Okay. Most of them are typos when the book was actually typed into type.
Correct.
Okay? All right. But this page has all the changes from the beginning of the book, even the forward. Okay. It was done by the Standard Reference Text Committee in 2007 through 2009. Okay. And it's got links in here. You can go to the original ones or you can go to any one that's changed. Let me just pull one out of the blue. First printing, warm the shores of Greenland that now make ice mantling continent a veritable tropical paradise. They changed it to warm the shores of Greenland, making the nice antled continent a veritable tropic paradise with a small p. Okay. Notice it says right underneath here, change to lowercase. Why they did it.
Sense.
Makes sense? All of these are that way. And why I wanted to point this out, there's a lot of scientific things in here that were off by either the way they knew it at the time back in 1920, 1924, and the way it's changed now. We know more. So they changed it to be more update. Okay. So nothing in the book was changed to change the meaning of the book. They wanted to keep it as updated as possible.
Just like grammar and spelling, correct?
Just like grammar. And
But even
spelling.
based on my
Makes
experience
sense.
too in research, even in the
Yeah.
reference editions,
Oops.
there's words that aren't in there. And a small little technique to find out if you're getting a first print of the Urantia book is to go to the forward, and it should say that line where it says, I don't have my book, but it's in the forward, but it should line 5, and it says, in all other manifestations, and the word other was removed.
Right.
And it's
Right.
like, that's how I'm always confident when I can spot a real or fake Urantia book. I'll go
Yeah.
to the forward. Let me see it. I'm pulling it up right now. And it's section 1, deity and divinity, and they're talking about perfection, and it's line 5. It says absolute perfection and no direction, relative perfection in all manifestations. The word other was removed.
Yeah.
So
Well, now that's just a good example. Let me finish this up tonight, y'all. Let me keep going.
okay.
I want to read this last paragraph. This last paragraph is so important. I don't know how I missed it the first time through I taught this, but I did. All right. And I'm going to read it myself. These 31 papers, I know we're over for everybody that's watching at home. This is going to be just hang in there with me for just a minute. These 31 papers depicting the nature of deity, the reality of paradise, the organization and working of the central and super universes, the personalities of the grand universe, and the high destiny of evolutionary mortals were sponsored, formulated, and put into English by a high commission consisting of 24 Orvantan administrators acting in accordance with a mandate issued by the Ancients of Days of Uversa, directing that we should do this on Urantia, that's our planet, 606 of Satania, that's our local system, in Norlashadek, that's our local constellation, of Nebadon, our local universe, in the year AD 1934. So what does this paragraph mean? It means this, that the Ancients of Days of Uversa issued a mandate that all these things in this first section be revealed to human beings, to this planet, in 1934. Why is this important? If you get people that say this book can't be true, you bring them back to this paragraph and says, Tell them the ancients of days, those beings that determine whether you survive death, mandated this revelation so that you would understand your pathway to God. Okay? That's why this is so important. And this statement for this one is only for the very first section. There's different things for each of the 4 sections of the book. Okay. For instance, the life of Christ, which was
35.
mandated by request of the Council of 24 Midwayers. Okay. They requested that they retell the story of the life of Christ, and they got approval. Okay.
So Roger, yeah. So it's kind of like
That's-
saying that it was revealed in 1934 by the sleeping subject
It
on
was
paper.
revealed in 1934. It doesn't matter if it came from a jackass.
Right.
It was
But it
still
was
revealed.
published as a book October 12th on a Wednesday, 1955,
1955, and they
So-
had a reason for delaying the publishing of the
because
book.
of the
That's a-
war. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole different story, and we don't have time to go into that tonight. But I wanted y'all to know that the statement is in the end of the very first section of the book. Okay, and one of the changes they made is in the next section of the book, right? It does not say at the heading section number 2 anymore. Okay, in the books, it said that. Okay, so when we go to the next paper, we'll be in the next section. I wanted to
Yeah.
point that out to y'all. And that will start on next time. Now, what am I talking about the next section?
Yeah.
If I can
The
get it up,
local universe.
the local universe. The next section will be, notice here on this page, when you go to find your papers, part 1, Urantia Book, the central and super universes. See that?
Mm.
The next section is part 2, the local universe. Okay, and that's what we'll take up next. The one after that is the history of the earth, and that's part 3, right? Now, part 4 is the life and teachings of Jesus himself.
Are you saying that the headings aren't there in the book? And
The headings aren't there
the
in the
reprints?
electronic book anymore. If you go
Oh.
to, and I took them out too, because I'm following the way the book says. You'll notice here, paper 32 is the next section, is it not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Do you see a heading there? It says part 2.
No.
That's because it was taken out.
Why?
I don't know.
They felt, yeah, after
I
after
don't know.
William gave up, I don't know, the 67 printing, that's when all the chaos started.
Yeah,
The
but
67 printing is when all the chaos started. They feel
This
like they're
is-
receiving messages.
This is what we're going to start next time. So we will be leaving part 1 and going to part 2. Y'all got that?
Mhm.
Yes.
So I want to congratulate y'all that stuck with me. You made it all the way through this part 1, studying the book very deeply, because that's what we've been doing, in great detail. So if anybody asks you, you can say, your teacher told you that you've been certified, that you have studied the whole first part of the book all the way through in great detail.
Wow.
Okay. So you're to be congratulated for that. Put up with my nonsense for the whole, however long it took.
Hey, I enjoyed that.
Me too. Me too.
I really learned something. Thank you for your amazing educational. Yeah, I loved it.
Okay,
Great.
let's stop the recording here and stop the share first. Let's stop the recording on. Thank you at home on Facebook for sticking with us and listening to us. Please come see us again. Let me stop the live stream. Stop the recording. Go ahead and stop your recording too.